hold John a little bit. That's lovely, lovely. That's gorgeous. Lovely. Not too tight, John, not too tight.
Over here you're kind of clutching onto something, you're trying to make it grow. We're trying to bring Ireland to England and trying to keep something going. So I suppose, you know, a lot of people do say, well, the Irish in England are much more Irish than the Irish in Ireland. And to a certain extent I agree with that.
Between 1840 and 1940, the population of Ireland shrunk dramatically from 11 million to only 4 million. Devastating famine, imperial neglect, a lack of industrialization and therefore of jobs drove the Irish to America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand and England. Like the Indians, West Indians, Pakistanis and Greeks, the Irish flooded into England during the boom years of the 50s and 60s. As many as 50,000 a year made the move from home. The immigrant Irish came predominantly from country districts where work was scarce. In Britain, they have converged upon industrial labour-hungry centres such as Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, Coventry, Glasgow and London. There are now over 1 million Irish living among the native population, about 1 person in 40. The Irish are Britain's largest ethnic minority.
Hey, that's your land. Now take your next chance, please. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Over here, the Irish, like other immigrant communities, are traditionally associated with manual work, particularly with the catering and building trades. There were, of course, a number of middle-class immigrants, those who came to be doctors or teachers, and those who ran the businesses which followed them over. But on the whole, the position of the Irish in Britain was, and remains, working class. Like any other displaced people, the Irish tend to cluster together in chosen urban areas and to continue the pattern of life they've left behind, practicing their faith, keeping in touch with home through their own newspapers, and gathering together in pubs, clubs and dance halls to sing their songs and perform their dances. Every night, in all our major cities, those gatherings and performances take place as they have done for well over a century. And by and large, the native population is still quite unaware of the Irish tradition flourishing in its midst.
I belong to Hebron, which is the next town to Jarrow. Really, they're like one big town. And even to this day, this area is called Little Ireland. Three or four generations ago, thousands of Irish people came to this area to build the steelworks, the docks, the dry docks, dig out the, the big hole for the dry dock and things like that. In fact, if you could see a register of the names of people in Hebron and Jarrow, you'd find that most of them are Irish names. And the nice thing about it is the music and songs have carried on through the generations. In fact, there's certain families that are well known for singing the same song that their father, grandfather and great-grandfather sang.
Kate coffee with her neat baby behind on her back strapped on. She'd an old and splendid
in the hand for to drive her donkey on, inquiring every farmer's daughter along the road she did pass, for it's where would she find an old pot to mend, or where would she swap an ass? Oh, Sullivan John, to the road you've gone, far away from your native home. You've gone with a tinker's daughter far along the road to Rome. Oh, Sullivan John, well, it won't be long till your belly will soon get slack. You'll go down the road with a mighty load and a toolbox on your back. Thank you, no, thanks. Thanks, no.
Next prize on a white ticket, number 626 to 630. 626 to 630. There's a claim down there. Next ticket on a green ticket. White. Well, it's white or green. White or green. Off-white. Yes. Number 26 to 30. And the first name on it is Nora Borsberry. Next one.
Thank you, Father. Thank you.
There's certain tunes, particularly in the jigs and hornpipes, that are ideal for the step dancing, where you get certain runs of music that fits in with the steps. A good musician is very, very important, because it takes several years to learn the timings and to keep the timings and know exactly what it's all about. It's got to be dead right, otherwise it's no good to the dancer.
Irish music is made to dance, and there's too many times where you've got to sit and listen to Irish music where you should be getting stuck in, you know. To me, Irish dancing is really kind of getting up and getting lifted. So what we've started doing is going all over into really totally different circumstances in dancing. And you'd be amazed at the reaction of Irish, you know, in a really rough kind of working man's club, you know, and see how it clicks. I mean, girls will go in and start doing an Irish dance and they go mad, they go all wild.
You must have your bass walk to correspond with this hand here. There's no good playing these two notes here and hitting the wrong key, bass notes on here, because that's the first thing that the adjudicator will pull you down on in the floor. You must have, if you start on G here, you must get your G on here as well. And each note, when you go right down to your B, you must come down to your B on here. Is that, you're all listening to that now, because I hope you listen. Because when I come round and if you don't do that, I expect you to do it when I'm telling you now. See, because that's most important when you go to a competition. This is where you come up trumps. If you get this right, and that coordinates with this side. See? Right. Play the Christmas again, Tracy. Nice and slow.
Although the Irish are scattered throughout cities all over England, organisations like Cultus Cíoltóirí Éireanna, the Society for the Preservation of Irish Music, Song and Dance, help link them together. These children, for instance, are just back from a music competition in the north of England and are preparing to go off to another in the south. There's a long waiting list of children eager to join the classes. Most of the music teachers, like those in the film, work for love rather than money.
That won't do, lads. That won't catch us over. Bad music. Right, Pat. Come on, lads. Now, for God's sake, lads, don't let us go as mad. as we went not so long ago. Bless my soul, you want a motorbike to keep up to you. And don't forget, nice and clean to that brake. Okay? Read. Hold there now, okay. Now, come on now, lads. Bit better than that. Don't you think that they weren't so very even there, lads? You're the usual old forgetting all about it, you know what I mean? All right, fine, we'll just run this off, it'll do. It won't, lads. Competition-wise, you must keep at it all the time. These boys are just waiting for a mistake like this to have yours. Right, Pat, you with the magnesium smile there.
Go.
Step dancing is a fiercely competitive pastime, and like athletics, high standards of performance are demanded and achieved every year.
When I first started teaching, I expected so much from a 6 or 7-year-old, and now I expect twice as much from them.
Jump to and kick her back. Ready? Go. Jump to and kick her back. Down. Now.
The competition is so fierce that there just isn't a hope for a child that isn't going to work. And no child, in my opinion, will work unless the parent says, right now, you know, you finished your homework, turn off the television, you're going to practice your dancing. If they don't do that, the child really isn't going to like it.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, and treble, jump on here.
But certainly the parents have got to be very interested and quite dedicated, because it's not cheap to do. It's quite expensive. The costumes are expensive, the shoes are expensive, the classes, because they need 2 or 3 classes a week to be good. And even at that, they still must do a couple of hours a day practice to make the top.
Up you go, Anne-Marie.
She's a bit lighter than Lorna.
She is a lot lighter.
Do you want some pictures on your dress as well, Anne-Marie? Do you? What sort? Oh, you want yours like that? Yeah, they've all fallen in love with this costume.
We'll have to make some different, though.
Oh, I think we'll put a different one.
Everybody to be the same, do it?
Let's have a look through the Book of Kells and see what we can find for it. I think a fairly large design for the centre, and we'll perhaps use her initials on the side.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Have a look in the Book of John, see if we can get one there. That's it. That's the one. Now, I think that would be very nice. That one would be fine.
Okay.
This little girl is having her first dance dress fitted. The designs, especially for the girls' costumes, are always as colourful and intricate as possible. Traditionally, they're based on illuminated manuscripts of biblical texts, such as the Book of Kells.
The transfers have come out beautiful on this one, haven't they? Really pleased. Yeah. Let me have a look at it, Vanessa. Hold it down. I haven't really seen this one properly. Oh, it's gorgeous, isn't it?
take a plea there. Right, you've been adjudicated, so I hope you're smiling and everything.
Good at you?
Have you not?
Yeah.
Right. The ladies and gentlemen's prizes. The first one goes to the Sultan's wife in the gold costume in the front. And the second lady is that cracking maid with the short skirt. The first gentleman is the old devil himself over there on the right. And the second gentleman is the casualty with the crutch at the back there.
It's not a case of the husband going to the pub and the wife staying at home. It's more of a family gathering. And to me, it's a terrific thing to keep the family together and so united. When you get good music, you get dancing, singing, you get the lot. And as I say, the night goes too quick.
As you know, Gospel Miguel has been going for the last 25 years. And we've been running a Cayley here in London all during that time. We don't have a fancy dress every Saturday. I wish we did. We'd have more fun. But at the same time, we do have a Cayley here. So please, will you endeavour to come along to this Cayley every Saturday and bring your friends along as well.
And it's a funny thing about the Irish. Every Englishman expects us to be drunkards and fighters and everything else like that. I've been coming here 25 years now, maybe a little more, and I haven't heard a harsh word or a fist raised in anger in all of those nights. But it's at least 75% of the people that attend our Cayley don't drink at all.
Two couples on the top set here, very quickly, 1600.
Originally, the Cayley was a celebration, often held at crossroads midway between two parishes, a great occasion for matchmaking. The atmosphere here has more in common with Ireland as she was 30 years ago than with Ireland as she is now. But immigrant experience hasn't stood still, and nor have the songs which reflect it.
All the hours of the week on England's motorway. When you fall and hurt yourself and get a feeling bad, it isn't any good to go running for your dad. For the only time since you were born he's had to spend with you. For he was out on a job and he hadn't a bob, he was signing on the brew. But remember, laddie, he's still your dad, though he's working far away. In the cold and the heat, all the hours of the week on England's motorway. In the cold and the heat, all the hours of the week, till he's built that motorway.
I travel through old Ireland till we came to Queenstown Bay. It was then I saw a steamer bound for America. It was then I saw a steamer bound for a foreign clime. And from there I gave my last fond look on the home I left behind. Now I've landed in America, strange faces I have known, but none so fair or as dear to me as the one I left at home. And when I have lots of shining gold and a girl to be my bride, I will roll her in my arms again and the home I left behind.
Hundreds of Irish clubs have sprung up all over England since the war. Everyone from the youngest to the oldest is welcome. Most of the people in this room know each other, or at least know of each other. So when they dance or sing, it's for friends and neighbours. The songs and dances are everyone's common property. Every note and step is passed on by word of mouth and relates to shared historical and personal experience. But though the form is common stock, it's what you do with it individually that keeps it alive.
The black flag was hoisted, the crew did over. Gone was the man who loved Ireland so well. There was many a sad heart in Dublin that morning when they murdered James Connolly, the Irish rebel. Many years have gone by since the Irish rebellion, when the guns of Britannia they loudly did speak, and the bold IRA marched shoulder to shoulder, while the blood from their bodies flowed down Sackville streets. God's curse on you English, you cruel-hearted monsters. Your deeds, they would shame all the devils in hell. Your red rose is crushed, but the shamrock's still growing on the grave of James Connolly, the Irish rebel.
The Balnakill-Cayley Band came to London between the wars and were the first village band to be recorded commercially. Lucy Farr, though never a full member of the band, played along with them as a girl and shared their lives and their arguments about the interpretation of a music that was never written down.
is that it doesn't matter where you get those tunes from, what player or what part of Ireland, they all sound like Ballinkill.
Back to Ballinkill we
Back
go.
to Ballinkill. Everything goes back to Ballinkill.
You can't help it though, can you? It's you know, it's where your roots are really, isn't it? And you know, it doesn't matter what sort of music you hear or where it comes from. Instinctively you will go back to the way you played it. I don't think that there'll ever be a sound like the Ballinkill sound. No matter where you go, or who you'll hear, or what bands. I don't think you'll ever get a sound like the sound that came from those two flutes. And you think, just two flutes, two fiddles, and a piano. Again, I didn't know the two fiddle players as well as I knew Tommy Whalen and Stephen. They were the flute players. But we lived in each other's houses, the Maloney's and Whalens, and we're backwards and forwards and playing music, you know. A funny story about Stephen and Tommy Whalen. We used to visit about 2 nights a week, you know. And one night, as usual, Stephen Maloney decided he'd walk Tommy Whalen down the road to the crossroads to see him on his way home. And later on the night, about an hour had gone by, and Mrs. Maloney said, "Well, they're a long time." And we wondered what had happened. Well, we didn't care, but she was worried. So eventually he arrived. She said, "Well, where have you been, Stephen?" So he said, "Well, we walked down to the crossroads and we were sorting out the turn of a tune. And we hadn't got it right when we got to the crossroads, so he walked me back. We still hadn't got it right, so I walked him back again." And I said, "And we still haven't sorted it out." So I said, "What was the tune, Stephen?" And you know, I can't remember what the tune was now itself. It was a very simple reel. But I put the cat among the pigeons, and I said, "Well, play it for me, see if I know it." And so he played it, and so I said, "Well, Stephen, I have another version of that altogether." You know, that made him more confused still, you know. But anyway, they sorted it out, and I had the later version of the same tune. But they couldn't agree about the turn of this reel, you know, and a whole hour they were walking backwards and forwards.
After the Ballinkill sound, a style born of geographical isolation, radio, television and recording have come along and caught and disseminated the pure traditional music.
And you think so?
Yeah, we're going to level.
That's good. Can I just comment the fact, Brian, that you have your fiddle very high-pitched? You like it there? It isn't the fact that it's a cheap fiddle, that you don't want it to sound as it would do normally. Well, let's have a look, Katie. Let's test out this magnificent animal. I'm going to try it. Well, it sounds just a small bit tinny, I suppose, which is a problem we can solve with the actual amplification equipment, reinforcement equipment back in the room. So, let's go back to Eddie Howard. Well, hey, Mr. Howard, sir. Would you go back there like a good laddie and give us the sound level and see what's happening?
Okay, sure, yeah. Yeah, that's fine, Brandon.
Right.
This fiddler, from Kilty Clogher, County Leitrim, originally played in the distinctive style of his district, but now, as a result of playing with musicians from all over Ireland, his style is entirely his own, unrelated to any strictly local sound.
what I suggest is you go over the reel time and time again, and don't stop until I tell you to stop, and we'll find the bits that we want to put together for the final take. So if you go over the whole thing, starting again, and try and forget us all and burst into it and let it go wrong if it goes wrong, so what? So here you go.
This banjo player, though he unquestionably creates an Irish sound, was born over here in England, so his style is even further removed from direct parochial roots. Fabulous caravels are playing at a charity evening. The money raised will send a sick child to Lourdes. The caravels have quite a following. The number they're playing is The Rocks of Bourne, a traditional Irish ballad transformed by their treatment into waltz time. Not a thing the purists would approve, though the caravels audience clearly love it.
I will, yeah. Follow them there. Now that you can all go to the range in the moment.
Hang on now, we just don't...
Hey, why won't there?
No confessions before, or
No, he's wrong. He's wrong.
Mumming was first brought to Ireland by English soldiers in the 16th century. The Irish adopted the custom and tailored it to their own history. Each mummer represents an Irish patriot, and as a whole they symbolize the stand against English oppression. Originally the dancing was preceded by a lengthy verse drama, but now only the captain speaks a short calling on verse.
attention, kind friends, and listen for a while. I relate to heroic deeds of those men from Erin's Isle. 12 patriots we represent who nobly fought to right old Ireland's wrong. An exiled saint, a soldier peace, gallant warriors, from Wexford we do belong.
Most of the Wexford mummers come from families or parishes where there has been a tradition of mumming for generations. Now they live and work in London, and in this way the custom has returned to its country of origin. Later in the year, the winners of this South of England semi-final will go on to compete at the World Irish Step Dancing Championships in Dublin.
Welcome to the qualifying rounds for the World Championships, which takes place in Dublin in March. Now, we shall be going from now until about 1:15 tomorrow morning. So I would ask you to give the adjudicators every assistance, take note of what they say, and for goodness sake, let's keep to time. One of the most important things about a feis is not the winning, just the entering. Because it's part of your heritage. It's Irish culture at its best. And the only little thing I'd like to say is, mums, dads, teachers, keep it going, because the world is a better place when we see things like Irish dancing.
Will competitors go backstage straight away, please? Thank you.
461. 461. Ames. 465.
have what I would look for, maybe somebody, another adjudicator, wouldn't look for, which is turned out feet, pointed toes. They have good elevation off the floor, that their timing is good, that their poise, their carriage. You know, in Irish dancing, we have our arms down by our side, not held stiffly, but we don't actually use the hands as an expression of the music in Irish dancing.
Good girls, that was quite good.
That's what's good about the dancing. When they do get to a good standard, that the adjudicators will not agree. The child can do very well at one fesh and maybe not even get a medal at the next fesh. And I think that is what keeps the children going, because there is no absolute in Irish dancing. Once you observe the basics, then style comes in. And then it's very much down to your interpretation and the adjudicator's opinion of that interpretation. Teachers are allowed to choreograph their own material and bring in certain movements, but they must include, you know, traditional movements, but in a new setting. Some dancers are, I think it's about 8 years ago, you know, started bringing syncopated timing, which was quite new, but that now has become accepted, you know, so this is, you know, living proof of how it changes and evolves, and I think that is why it thrives so much, because, as I say, it's a living, creative art form.
Number 470, 5 points. And number 465, 2 points. And your totals, 465, 14. 473, 10. 470, 17. 459, 12.
Congratulations. Good luck in Dublin. Thank you. Nice smile, girl. Want to sit down?
There are about 3 million children in this country who have 2 Irish parents. These parents are working hard to pass on their culture to the next generation, a folk culture in industrial Britain. It's a culture that's being assailed on all sides back in Ireland herself. But here, it has embedded itself in working-class districts in the cities. And although it changes with every generation, it is vigorous and it survives.